Hey guys, it's Bree from C with the B Face, and today we are doing another review of Ready to Love. This is season 6, episode 5. And this episode picks up with the elimination. So they didn't tell us who was eliminated last episode. So this time you have Demetrius pulling AP and Precious to the front, and he gives the positives but also the red flags that the fellas are seeing. And in the end, it was AP who goes home. Now, in that little speech that Demetrius gave, he said that the guys feel like AP has some unresolved feelings toward her deceased husband. Oh, she was not happy with that comment. She was like, oh, so y'all are psychologists now. Yeah, she wasn't feeling that comment. And then Precious, he basically said they feel like she's immature. And I will say, at least for Precious, she was a little bit reflective. Whether that comes from a good space, a discerning space or not, who knows? But at the very least, she was reflective about what the guys are saying, and she takes the feedback. So then poor AP does not get to eat because Eric is like, well, I cooked, guys. Now that AP is gone, let's go ahead and eat this food. And so, so they get to, pool party part 2, which is this truth or dare game that we saw in the previews for last episode. And it was a mess. Of course, Laverne started it. It was a whole mess. Sidebar. When all this was happening, especially the deliberation, I was just thinking, I could never, I wouldn't be able to focus with all those cameras around, because I feel like I would just be, in The Office, how Jim kind of smirks at the camera. He looks directly into the camera and he's like, I feel like that would be me the whole time. If anything happened at all, I would be right in the camera, the whole time. So they get into this truth or dare. And in my head, I'm like, is it a little too early to be putting your cards on the table like that? Is it too early to declare your hand so unabashedly? I mean, for those who got it, get it. Joy and Clifton, we know this. This is not new information. But apparently Sabrina and Demetrius was new to everybody, because everyone was like, oh, Tori, just go and get your girl. And his girl was like, maybe don't, because I'm feeling this guy. I could not do it. Oh my gosh, that must have been a terrible feeling to sit there with someone in front of you where you thought you had a connection, and they're like, yeah, but this guy. This does not happen in the dating world. So weird. So Tina is feeling Paul the most, which is interesting. I thought she hit it off with Wiley, but it didn't seem like she was really into Wiley at all. So maybe, Paul was right about the old soul and her, mostly dating older men. But yeah, she's feeling Paul, and Paul's feeling himself with a little high five to Laverne. And then he called out Wiley for some reason. I didn't understand why he had to mention Wiley at all. Wiley's just sitting there minding his business. Anyway, Dakia had a really good question for Carmen and was like, are you actually interested in anybody here, or is it just because this is a selection, so this is what you're dealing with? That was a violent question. It was a great question, but that was oh, she came with all the smoke. Let's be real quick. So that was Dakia's question. And then you get to the bonfire and they're making speeches. This season, people have said this about the season, they do seem more mature. These people are making speeches about their futures and emotions, and I'm like, wow, are perhaps some of you really serious about this process? Who knows? Oh, and then at the bonfire, after, I think this was after the dinner, Sabrina was like booed up with Tori while Demetrius is up front making his speech. So I'm wondering if she was trying to do that to smooth things over, because she, like, you know, sidled up to him and has his arm around her, and they're like holding hands. I'm like, you just kissed another man right in front of his face. What's going on with that? I was curious. I was really, I was confused about that part, but you know, you like it. So then they have a group date, which is Precious, Joy, Clifton, Wiley, and Demetrius on this group date, and they're doing some like obstacle course type thing, this indoor obstacle course. I don't know what it is with Precious and Demetrius, but she keeps trying to prove to him that she is not what people think of her. And I'm curious as to why it's with him. Like, what is it about him that she feels like she has to prove something to him? Like I said, I am all for being reflective, but you do have to combine that with a little bit of discernment, right? Like you have to filter what people say about you, you know, and chew up the meat, spit out the bones type thing. If people are saying you're immature and that is not who you are, like, evaluate. Take some time, think about it. Is this how I'm coming across? But by no means should you have to feel that you need to prove something to someone, right? I mean, some things just don't even deserve a response. And this situation, it might even be having the opposite effect, because Demetrius said he thinks she's just trying to do damage control, so he just doesn't really even feel like it's genuine. I feel like she is being genuine, but I feel like it's a response to this jarring event where people have this overwhelmingly negative opinion about you and you didn't see that about yourself. I mean, I just feel like it's a response. I don't feel like it is, and it is possibly a knee-jerk response, but I don't think that makes it any less genuine. It's just the direction that she went. I don't know what it is about Demetrius that makes her feel like she has to prove it to him. He's not even her top connection. Like, it doesn't even seem like she's attracted to him. I don't know what it is that she's seeking his approval, like him specifically. Maybe because he called her out specifically, and maybe she sees him as a level of authority figure, or someone who maybe has his life in a certain space and she just needs to have him think positively of her. I don't know what that is. That is an interesting, I don't know what that is about Precious, but I guess we'll see how it plays out. And then the only other thing that happened in that group date is just Joy was trying to get Wiley to admit that he liked her, or say something, or, you know, make a move or something. I mean, a few of the ladies have said, like, he flirts, but it's like, that's it. And then it doesn't go any further. So yeah, at that moment during the date, I was like, okay, Wiley might be on the chopping block, because Tina didn't even think you were one of her top picks. So, and I thought at least that connection would have been pretty solid, but yeah. So then we have some individual dates. We have Sabrina and Tori. And Sabrina, if you want to talk about doing damage control, Sabrina was doing damage control with Tori. And that interaction was so, I don't even know how to take it, because she keeps reiterating to Tori, I just want to move past it. I'm going to explore connections, and I just want us to move past this. And can you move past this? I mean, do you not want to explore this connection anymore? Can we move past this? And I'm just curious, like, you're so focused on moving past this. Should you maybe have just opted out of the game to begin with? I don't know. Or maybe because Demetrius wasn't being so intentional about his pursuit up until the time at the pool party when he pulled you aside and was like, I'm parked right here. And now you're like, oh, I actually really liked him, but you were the one showing me interest. And so what if Demetrius turns cold again, and then I need you to stick around. Not that she doesn't like him at all. I'm just saying, like, perhaps you should have thought about his feelings instead of just thinking of the process, right? Like, sure, you're in a process, but that doesn't mean that your emotions turn off. And so just because you're able to date multiple people and you have multiple connections to explore doesn't mean that you should discount his feelings, that he has said, I'm rocking with you, and sure, I'll give you space to explore, but don't do that stuff in front of me. Like, that is just inconsiderate in general. This is not a Joy and Clifton moment where it's like, no, I knew. Like, we all know where Joy is at. We all know where Clifton is at. And they may have other connections, but come on. And it wasn't that situation, and you really did kind of blindside the guy. So I can understand why his feelings might have been hurt in that situation. So yeah, I wasn't a fan of that interaction, but yeah, there's that. And then there was Paul and Carmen. Yeah, the pickle situation was still weird, but they seem to like each other. People are starting to warm up to Paul. Now, Paul, I will admit, I'm seeing him through these episodes and I'm like, okay, Paul's a little bit attractive. He's just annoying, it seems. Like, his interactions, maybe like the ladies are just kind of getting past that like first layer where it's like, okay, cornball, and what the heck are you talking about? And then now it's like, okay, I'm feeling Paul. Like, it's not like he's not attractive, and you know, he can be a little fun sometimes. So I can see, you know, how they're getting that. It's just still Paul. So good for y'all too. Donovan and Tina, again, this man seemed the least bit interested. The one time that he lit up in the conversation with Tina was when he was talking about his kids, which is adorable, so sweet. But that whole conversation felt like a business luncheon. Like, and he just was not interested. It did not. And then in deliberation, Tina was like, Donovan is in her top. And Precious said Donovan was in her top. I'm like, I don't know if maybe he's making y'all feel like he's interested in these personal interactions, but from the outside looking in, this man looks bored. I don't get it. I don't get it. But it was funny. And then they had another group date. And this one, they went to like a club. So it was Tina, Ace, Dakia, Laverne, Paul, and Tori. And they were just in some like nightclub. So Tina and Paul are talking. They like each other. Okay, cool. Tina tries to go and talk to Laverne. That whole conversation was hilarious. Like, what are you even saying? Like, what are you even talking about? It made, like, Laverne was just, this is what I mean when I say his conversations come off weird, because it's like, he just talks. And then if you're another extrovert and then you say something similar, then y'all just kind of grasp at straws at the same thing. But it just, even Tina was like, all right, okay. Okay, like, all right, I don't get it. So, and also, sidebar, Michael Jackson's the king of R&B? Child, I mean, she might have been able to guess if he said the king of pop, but sir, where has Michael Jackson ever been the king of R&B? I don't understand you. It's so weird. Anyway, and so then another interaction is Ace and Laverne. Now this is another weird off space because Laverne kept trying to put his hand on like Ace's leg and kind of be a little touchy-feely and initiate some contact. And Ace is sitting there like this, like she's uncomfortable. And I don't understand that part because they've been saying, or at least Laverne has been saying, that he really, really likes Ace. And yeah, she's just like this. And then Laverne. Yeah, Laverne likes Ace. Their names confuse me because I want to say Laverne when I'm talking about Ace, and I want to say Ace when I'm talking about Laverne. So confusing. Anyway, and then Laverne tells Ace, like, basically she's his top connection. I guess since Joy went up and kissed Clifton, that kind of fizzled out. Like, he knows he's not getting in there. But she didn't even seem like she knew what to say. And I'm curious as to what their off-camera conversations look like, because I feel like if that were really the case, she probably wouldn't have been surprised at that because your conversations would reflect it. So I'm curious as to why she's holding back, why she doesn't know what to say when you say that she's your top connection. I'm wondering if because this is elimination week, he's like, oh, I'm gonna go full throttle here so I don't get eliminated because I know I really wasn't communicating with anyone this past week. So yeah, that whole conversation. And then even to top it off, when they went to go dance, Ace was dancing with Tori. And Laverne was like trying to like hype her up when she was kind of doing her little half twerk. But she did not seem as comfortable. Like, she had more physical contact with Tori, and she didn't even ever say that Tori is like her top #1 connection, because everyone was putting Sabrina and Tori together. So that whole thing read, I'm trying not to be on the bottom. Didn't work because he was anyway. And so that was it of that group date. That was it from that group date. I can 100% see Ace eliminating herself. I can see her getting to a point where she's just like, yeah, this ain't it. I can 1000% see her just piecing out at some point, but this is not that time. So then we get to deliberation in the women's lounge, and interesting, Dakia is talking future with Eric. And at the pool party, Eric was like, oh, I hope I'm cooking for my future wife. I'm like, y'all really serious right now. Like, y'all are on this for real. It is actually refreshing to see, because some of this stuff can come off as like, I'll try it for as long as it'll work, but I'm not going to put any real effort into it. But they seem like they're for real about this. They are talking futures, they're talking wives and marriages and all of those things. I'm like, good job. And so Ace mentions that Laverne is in her top, and then Tori is kind of in the mix because they, have a little poetry rap battle connection going on, but that's about it. So the bottom two, unsurprisingly, are Laverne and Wiley. And Wiley took it on the chin. He probably saw it coming. And Laverne, I don't know if it's because Precious was on the chopping block this past week, but she came with all of the smoke for Laverne. Like, all the smoke. Like, she was not holding back at all. There was no proving to him at that time. She came with all the smoke. And Laverne, to his credit, did take it. He took it, but his mannerisms and some of his defensiveness seemed like he wanted to say something, but he's like, I am fully aware that I am on TV, so I will not. And so, hey, more power to you. But anyway, Wiley goes home, and Laverne, in a weird, like, I don't know if it's ominous, but it was a weird moment at the end in his confessional, where he was like, oh, the woman for me is gonna come to me, and I'm for sure making it to the end. I wish that all of the people who are on the show, cared more about creating long-lasting relationships instead of just making it to the end. I don't get it. I really don't. But anyway, he's still there. And, you know, maybe he'll put the pressure on Ace some more. You know, who knows? But that was that for this past episode. And then in the previews, Tori was like, oh, word, I'm back on the streets. Like, he was like, oh, you're not rocking with me like that? Back to the streets. I got this. Like, he kissed Precious. And that came out of nowhere. I'm like, at least pursue Ace. Ace is like a girl that I could actually see y'all being together for real. It seems like you're just trying to play around with Precious. And then, there's a blow up in the men's lounge. And guess who's at the center of it all? It was Laverne, in case you didn't know. Laverne was the one causing the drama. But yeah, that was about it for this episode. Thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see y'all in my next one. Bye!